with the roamers. I know you're saying they're going to get a handle on them, but you can't invest too much time. You've got to be razor sharp on dealing with them. Kafe is a map that requires a lot of clearance, so I'm excited to see how this one shapes up. The Nomad ban coming in first is quite interesting because MNM never play it on this map. They love things like IQ, Finca, Iana, Hibana, Sledge. That has been their go-to comp across the majority of their games. The Flora is going to get taken away, the same as NIP banned it away against SANDBOX yesterday. In 80% of their rounds, SANDBOX will play the Flores. They showed yesterday they can do just as well with the Twitch, so I don't think it will phase them, but it does take away quite a strong point. The Wamai also going to come away here as a ban for MNM, and the final one, I imagine we'll see something like a Valkyrie coming out here. Given the Nomads there, roamers are going to be a thing, and you want information to play off of. There it is, going to be the Valkyrie, our fourth and final ban.
Nothing too surprising then, as you say. Largely,
almost like data suggests this is what you'd see.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Weird, that.
I mean, you mentioned time there, Des. You sort of, you say that you're not always too respectful of time, but sometimes you are very punctual, aren't you?
Am I?
Sometimes you can be very, very punctual.
There's a joke here, and I don't know where it's going.
Particularly for flights. You like to make sure you're on time. I once turned up at the airport with Des for a flight. He was 13 hours early for his flight.
Is that being punctual, though? Is punctual being on time, or is it being exceptionally
You want to know
early?
what that was being? It was being stubborn. Because I told you about 4 times on the way to the airport, and on the week before, Des, I think your flight might have moved. Just double check it. And you were having none of it, and you were 13 hours early.
There's a little joke we have
inside
the UK travel team, the casters that all come from the UK, and that you've got Tim on one end, who's the perfect travel buddy. He's the guy that you want if you want to be somewhere on time with no stress. If you want to be super relaxed about things, I'm your guy. You'll be the last on the plane, you'll be the last one at the terminal, but you'll maximise the time not spent at the airport. So there's a real tale of two tapes here, I think.
Well, sometimes, until you turn up 13 hours early. And then you really maximise that airport time.
It's a one-up, all right? I'm just making up for a year missed of airport time. Anyway, we're into the game.
It's top floor.
Not the top floor, Tim. What's wrong with top floor, Tim?
I told you about it yesterday, what was wrong with it.
Tell the viewers, Tim.
I was proved right with what is wrong with top floor. It is a difficult site to defend, and it just seems to remain the primary choice with teams. Kitchen, Reading, so often has a better defensive win rate, but teams insist on going here first of all. I think we saw, I can't remember what the final figure was, but we were definitely at a point where it was defenders has lost it 3 times and won it once. So they had a 75% loss rate on it yesterday across the entire game with NIP and SANDBOX, and it's just very, very difficult for them to hold on to, and I think that there are stronger sites on the map. But SANDBOX, they're going to start things off up on the top. Bar and cocktail it will be.
I wonder if part of this plan by MNM and dropping away the IQ, bringing the Zofia, is they don't need the IQ to deal with Valkyrie cameras, for one. They maybe felt a bit ravaged by them historically. That's not going to be a concern because SANDBOX have done them the wonderful favour of banning it away themselves, meaning they can bring along the Zofia in place of the IQ, more range destruction. They've got a lot of that on side, to be honest with you. 6 grenades, they've got the Hibana Rets Kairos for opening this up at range, they've got the Zofia. There's so much safe utility they've got to play with there. Static penned here inside a cigar shop, looked like he was taking a good few shots. Has now backed himself away, tucked him behind the actual display desk itself, but is still under threat here. A well-placed grenade, we'll see him taken out. Almost called it as it was happening. Yuzu's finding the opening kill, and once again, Static not having the best day on entry.
It's very, very clear to me that MNM have done their homework here for SANDBOX on Kafe, because Solotov just picking up Harper on the jump out there as well, alive to the danger when SANDBOX do try to mix things up. But if you saw there at the beginning of the round, Static tried the nitro onto the hatch. So yesterday he waited for the Sledge to open a hatch, and then he detonated the nitro on the second hatch, as the natural presumption would be you head over to get the second hatch. MNM were well aware of that. They didn't go straight for that second hatch, waited for the nitro to disappear, and then they were just gunning down through the soft wall into the position they know that Static is going to sit and play inside of that cigar shop. So MNM definitely got the read on SANDBOX here. They're doing well. They've got Piano cleared out. They've got the red drop. They're moving into cigar. They are starting to push forward here, MNM.
SANDBOX has done that thing again where they reinforce off both walls between storage and bathrooms. So although there's a rotate there to help speed with the setup, they reinforce it off afterwards, and one man ends up pinned in there. It is MB Taylor. He is locked in. If a nade comes singing in from the south white window, he could be done for. And MNM haven't read into that just yet, but there could be another grenade coming in. They will try and throw one in, but he stacks up with mute jammers. He's got ADSs. He's going to be a nightmare to unseat from this position. He won't try and swing anything just yet, but Charles the first one to step out and find a kill for himself. Tyrant going deep. Planet's going down, sees them out, finds the kill onto Nova. A 4 versus 2, maybe a 4 versus 1 coming into play in a second, but Nello sticks the defuse. Invitational's trying to step out, trying to have some kind of impact, as my God, do his team need him right now. It's him and Charles, the dynamic duo from APAC, coming up into a 2 versus 4. Charles hits the deck and it gets closed out by Nello with a kill onto MV. Tim, it sounds like a bold accolade to make this early. I would wager the opening 60 seconds of attacking rounds for MNM are some of the best we have seen of any tournament here at SI so far. Their entry kills, the drone work, the positioning, everything is just brilliant.
It is absolutely no accident that they are completely dominating the entry game. I think you're absolutely right, Des. They are going in. They are very aware of where everybody is located. They are sectioning individuals off very easily and just really isolating people and dealing with them. It's great. They're pushing them around. Static moved into a position for users to get it's just working like clockwork for them. SANDBOX going to head away from that top floor in round number 2. They're going to head down to Reading. They had much more success on this site yesterday, so I'd expect to see something good from them here. There will be a bit of a top floor presence, as we would expect. They were quite aggressive with it at times. They'll push quite a high line, maybe play underneath Skylight, play right up into Cigar Shop. They're not going to let MNM have anything for free here.
So they damn well shouldn't. That mirror could be a bit of a difference maker, mind you. Yes, it can slow things down for them. It can give them a much stronger hold up on the top floor. One thing I do want to see, to be honest, if they play on that top floor again, is to stop the whole reinforcing thing. Like they've done here, these 2 walls were what they reinforced off in the last round as well. So it's a similar setup. The problem with that wall being reinforced off is you can't give support for bathroom in towards the bar. If they come playing in through Cigar, for example, you don't see anything. You can't spray down any shots there, stop them coming up around New Balk as well. It's just messy and very isolated, and you saw that from Envy in the last round. He had to kind of flank into Piano and try and get involved later in the round, but he could do nothing to stop the bar push coming in. They've gone for it again in this round. I don't think it matters as much because it is the reading site. Just one of those things that I'm looking at and thinking, that probably needs to change at some point.
More than likely. Nova just getting into the late setup there, putting the mirror window down, opening up his peak hole. And as I suggested, SANDBOX quite a high line here. Does Static playing underneath New Hatch. It's going to get opened up, so he definitely needs to be careful here. He's going to just scoot away as the drone sees him, but he's got one above him on Skylight potentially as well, and it might just be time for Static to drop himself away. But he is going to keep himself there fighting for the time being. As I said, very aggressive generally on that top floor hold from SANDBOX, and it does continue, but he does drop away to safety now, and MNM taking good control of the top floor.
That's a good start. Time again was the big thing on this map for me. I'm most excited, to be honest, to see the kitchen defense, because that requires a full map clear and it will really test MNM's ability with the clock. This one, though, not miles off being that much different. You've got Tyrant lurking around downstairs, which is quite new. Don't often see people pushing in from below here, but could look to do some damage up above. If they have information on where Nova is behind this mirror window, it would be one of the first kills I think I've ever seen from downstairs onto that second floor, but instead working his way out towards the gold stairs, going to push his way forwards and just try and deal with anyone that might be trying to play a C4 down below.
Just going to hold that angle at the bottom of White Stairs for the time being. Cut off any potential rotation. Users just eating up that Ella mine as he drops down. And it's going to wear off. And he'll be able to start pushing forward toward the mid-floor. They've got Red Controller now, and Solotov just still very conscious of the potential for this top floor, and there are a number of players up there, and while you feel MNM have maybe started to get some control, SANDBOX just able to work their way back into it. Static finding himself, he's dropped away from this position once, and he's come back, and they are absolutely adamant, and we know why, to hold on to this top floor. It's going to be a freebie, Des.
He missed.
No, he misses the one-tap shot. Sometimes you can't go for style. You gotta go for substance, and Static just missing his opportunity there. And whew, I tell you what, Neo gets away with one.
He gets away with a freebie. Solotov biting into Nova for the first time, but it's at that 30-second mark where MNM have only just really got inside the building and started establishing any kind of ground control. Not that it's going to slow them down, because once again, they are in a 5 versus 3. This has happened at least 6 times across the 2 maps so far, and with a numbers advantage like this, they've got to pull the trigger. There's 15 seconds left on the clock. In comes a push. Tyrant missing out. Charles finding one. Neo gets MV elsewhere. The 4 versus 2 comes in. in, uses a great shot onto Shyle. Harper's left alive, shotgun in hand, steps in one, uses the shutdown. Even with no time on the clock, they get the closeout.
Starting to feel like SANDBOX is in big trouble here, Des, to be honest. This was a map that we expect them to come in and really start commanding and get in a few rounds, but the defence so far has seen no joy for them. They've lost top floor, they've lost reading, they're heading now to kitchen, they're trying to find a scrap of anything they can get a hold of, but MNM, the problem is they are growing in confidence. As each round goes by, they're playing freer and freer, and it is making them very difficult to challenge.
There is one fact we didn't raise to those of you at home. This event is the first time the players of MNM have ever met. I think a couple of them, like Coach Omerta and the owner Cal, have met. I think they met Nello before, maybe at an event as well. But not only that, it's also for the majority of them playing a LAN for the first time. They had to arrive on the weekend. They turned up, and I spoke to Omerta. He said on Monday we played 12 hours of scrims. The boys had, outside of Nello and I think one or two others that have played like UK or Benelux LANs, they've never played on zero ping before. They have basically had to not quite relearn the game, but learn the game in a LAN setting after meeting each other for the first time, after just qualifying to EU and no doubt being exhausted after all the work they've put in. Yet are coming in here and making a team that beat the defending world champions yesterday look like a walk in the park for them on a few of these rounds. Sure, they've been stretched on the clock a couple of times, but I'll take that as being the only but you can really say about your team, because in all of the departments, they are flying.
Certainly going well for them so far. We've got the freezer wall set up there. It's always an interesting one where you make it look like Swiss cheese, putting a Rooney gate over it and just try to play into anybody trying to push from that side. It means that you can aggress through it, but it's not easy to breach necessarily and actually get that access into freezer. Envy Taylor is going to be up on the top floor, just drone hunting at the minute on the Mozzie, just trying to make it difficult, deny that information. It's not something that we see used too often anymore, isn't the Mute Mozzie combo, where you just try to completely shut off information to a complete floor essentially and make attackers peek into you.
It's in a healthy state, I think, where it's a niche sort of setup, and this is where you want operator balance to sit, in that you're not running it every single round. In the same, you don't always see Jaeger or Mai, for example, right? It's more that you can employ it on certain maps in certain positions or team preferences. Like one example I lean to is Nello very rarely ever plays Thermite. Hibana is his go-to hard breacher. Other teams on this map will love things like the Ace. They'll bring along a Thermite. I thought it back on the last map of Oregon as well. You saw Maverick and Hibana. You didn't see a Thermite at all. Some teams love playing those ops. So when it's kind of a choice, I think that's when you know an operator or operator pairing is in a good spot.
Top floor clearance is continuing for MNM here, so if you're wondering what's the next step, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get themselves top and mid floor locked down. They need that control. They've only got 3 drones though, so SANDBOX doing a great job of denying information here with the Mozzie, with the Mute, and just with their guns shooting those drones out. Tyrant taking the challenge just on the white stairs there, but I'll tell you what, SANDBOX are just holding on to this stairs. They're not letting go of it. We're going to see Solotov downed here, and this is a better start from SANDBOX, one of the best that we've seen inside of a round. We're already past the minute 30 mark. There's no verticality going on yet. There's no possibility of that happening yet, because SANDBOX are still fighting over the mid floor. Great round from them so far.
Having to just swing and pre-fire things here as well, and this is what I spoke about in the previous round. I said I was really excited about seeing the downstairs, because that's when you'd see MNM made or broken, and so far they're feeling broken. The roamers of SANDBOX have cleared out the vast majority of these drones. At about the minute mark, they've started swinging their hammer. A minute and 30 is generally the benchmark for you to get enough done that you can execute. So they're going to have to panic a little bit here and almost start rushing as things go by. I think they've just electrocuted off a bunch of the hard breach pellets coming through onto the fireplace hatch. So instead what they're going to have to do is put those hard breach pellets around the side of it. A trade comes in, Harper going down while Static gets Tyrant elsewhere.
That was a beautiful nade from Users there, just using the half window, getting it down through the ceiling to just find his man 4v4, but MNM, they are against serious time pressure here with 25 seconds left to go. They drop into the hatch and they're just going to have to aggress into site, but they're likely to aggress into Nova's shotgun. He hits one, pumps for a second, throws the nitro. He's coming back for more. Does he find any? He gets his man. That's a double. Envy Taylor joins the party 1v3 as the MNM attack just absolutely collapses in upon itself. Users takes damage, closed out by Shyle, and SANDBOX are back in the fight.
This is what we wanted to see. It'll be interesting if this leads to a 4-2 split for the attackers, but time bites MNM in the backside. bit too much time spent on their own clear. Drones were getting eliminated there by members of SANDBOX. Really well controlled with the Jaeger, with the Mute and the Mozzie. Just really good stuff for SANDBOX. At least get themselves around on the board. Now we need to convert it into a couple more in this half. A 3-3 split isn't super ideal on the defensive side, but you'll take it if that's what you can get. We go back up into Bar and Cocktail. We saw them lose this back in round 1. I'm hoping this time round things prove to go a little bit better.
As you say, they need to change something up. It was very well managed by MNM on their attack of this top floor site, so they knew that Static was going to be playing in and around Cigar Shop. They dealt with him within the first minute very easily. It meant they could get in, they got control. They swept across site. Tyrant able to walk in and find kills inside a Cocktail. Diffuser went down. Basically, everything that could go wrong sort of did for SANDBOX, really. MNM were just able to find every crack, every crevice, and just get in there and break them open. So this time, SANDBOX, they've got to stand up a bit taller. They've got to hold on. Don't want to be giving themselves away. For me, it's about doing things a little bit differently. As I say, the read into Static was there. They knew where he was going to be playing. They knew the nitro that was going to come out. It has changed this time. Static's on the smoke. We've got the Goyo. We've got a few different things going on.
Ooh, Tim, are they going to reinforce the wall? No, they've left it open. So they rotate all between bathroom and storage, the one that I keep on mentioning. Yep, this one, thank you very much, Easy. That was constantly being reinforced off. This time, for now at least, has been left soft. So that is a big change to what we saw in all their rounds against NIP yesterday and what we've seen so far from them. So this will give the chance for Envy Taylor or whoever plays in there, I think it is Envy on the Aruni, the ability to challenge a little bit more clearly, and everything I've said has now been negated as they are reinforcing it off. Never mind.
It was set up for you, Des.
It was.
Put the rotate there.
So sad.
It looked like they were going to lean into playing the pixel spot a little bit more, into piano, try and deny that access for MNM, but it may well be that they just play a little shallower now. They can still play inside of the washroom. They've got the shield set up there. Solotov, however, he's going to find Envy Taylor, and it's another entry for MNM.
I was just about to say there's now no one that can take the stop off where Envy was, because he was the pixel and a washroom player. They did have one step down, so Nova's come across from playing on Lumber or top white, and is now set in that position. So they do have backup there. Just would have been a bit easier if the rotate was, you know, left open.
Goyo shield is going to be detonated on Pixel Spot corner, so it's just step by step for MNM again. They've recognised the different defence and they're picking it a piece part by part. They've dropped into the top of red stairs now, aggressing in behind that Gemini decoy. Solotov gets himself established inside a cigar, going to hold an angle while just more men get themselves inside of the map. I would expect, look at this, Des, they're all stacking up on the skylight. I think they're going to go for it here. The flashes go in. It could well be a drop. Nope, they've dipped away from it. It just looked for a second like they might go over the ledge there and try and get the diffuser down, but they're continuing with this great utility clearance at the minute.
It's because they wanted to get these shields cleared out of storage first so no one can sit behind them and challenge them as they go in for it. Now they've done that, you can see the drones racing through just to make sure it's clear. They know there's a player hanging around Freezer, around Lumber that might rotate back through, but that's it, because again, the rotation is closed off. They haven't got to worry about it all that much. So let's keep a close eye on that and see how it weighs into this round. You've got Yuzu's ready to come swinging in on the new balcony up above Cocktail. He can have a big impact here given the opportunity.
Nello with a smart play there, just taking the barricade out for him, and it just prevents the sound of that sledgehammer opening it. It could just give them the element of surprise. Shaol does find Tyrant with a nice headshot from across the map, looking for more but can't quite see through that Toxic Babe canister at the minute. As it clears, he does have another opportunity, can't find the Hibana of Nello. We're just waiting for users to swing in on that East Rappel, and here he goes. There's how much success is he gonna find? He's on the flank, but it looks like SANDBOX have read into it a little. There's one man that does get taken down. It's going to be Shaol losing his life. Nello has the opportunity to put the diffuser down, and Users gets aggressive, finds one into bar back storage, and once again it's falling apart for SANDBOX as the diffuser will be confirmed. It's all up to Nova in piano. Can he play them a pretty tune here? Absolutely not, as Neo shuts him down, and that's MNM with another attacking round on top floor.
I hate to sound like a broken record, Tim, but look at the impact Harper had there from on Pixel and Bathroom. Absolutely none. They ignored him. They came pushing in through bar. He could not contest them at all without exposing himself. Users come swinging in, clears out Cocktail. They have no control around the site, and an easy plant comes in. MNM identifying the opportunities put before them, the weaknesses in SANDBOX's setup, and capitalizing beautifully. They're now sat at 3-1, and there is work to do for SANDBOX. Reading and Fireplay is going to be where we head back to for a second time. You know, again, the clock does hurt MNM at points on this site, Let's see how they do here.
MNM supporters are going to be sat very happily watching this, I would imagine, because they are looking confident. As each kill, as each round comes in, they just seem to grow in strength and stature, and they're getting right on top of SANDBOX Gaming at the minute. The impressive thing that MNM are doing is reading into that SANDBOX defense for me. They're going in and they're recognizing, as you said, Des, where are those key points? What do we need to pick apart? Do we need to worry about Pixel? No, we don't need to worry about Pixel, but we do need to focus on bar back storage. Get that cleared out and we can do X, Y, and Z. They're just recognizing those avenues very well, and they're opening and exposing them.
And they're reinforcing it again. I'm just going to stop talking about it. You guys now know that SANDBOX are going to reinforce this wall no matter what. You know what impact that has on the round. We've now seen it 2-3 times. They've lost top floor twice. They've lost reading and fireplace twice. It's having a pretty big impact. For MNM, then we'll see what their attack point is going to be, because last time it came as a bit of a push down through train and tried to steamroll their way in through there. I imagine we'll see the same once again, and we're going to see a mirror in the same spot inside of train, I expect, just to help them control at least up towards red. You can see the feet level holes that are currently scattered across in the museum entrance as well, just above mining, that will help that mirror do some damage.
Tyrant just getting straight away on towards that east rappel. He's just opening up the white stairs window, thinking about having a look, pushing forward. Just what that does is it cuts off the rotate. So the man that you can see there playing in and around washroom, looking to get up and down, cause a nuisance. It's Shayo on the Jaeger. It just prevents him going back down white stairs because he's not confident then, obviously, of whether that window is being watched or not. He's going to move himself away through piano for the time being. We've got one on the mirror window, but a drone has not been spotted. And
it's cheeky.
Be a cheeky nade.
I mean, I was going to say, the only thing that, unless he saw that and thought that's alibi, just holding firm or what, at this level you should know that's a clone. I'm pretty sure he did. Just wanted to get it cleared out. Any of the gadgetry that might be supporting on the south side also gone here. You got Solotov looking to play nades from below. This was Tyrant last time round. Now it's Solotov trying to do the same. They just need eyes on exactly where this player is. They didn't get any damage down onto him there just yet, but I imagine he'll be backing out of dodge, getting onto the concrete around that wooden floor so he can't be caught out again.
MNM pretty spread out around the map at the minute. They're trying to push 3 or 4 different angles. They haven't really impacted on the top floor hold as of yet. Bullets will fly. You see the tracers just zipping past Solotov's head. He's not able to find a target though. Users will find Harper and shut him down for the opener. As you say, the freest kill he's going to get today as he just shoots the man in the back to start things off for MNM. But time could start being a factor here because they still don't have top floor control, Des.
Absolutely. It was a good little move from users, you know, so common to open that up when you're attacking onto the downstairs, maybe less so here, but gets Harper in the back, a great opener. Static getting one back onto Tyrant. So that 4 versus 4 in the last 60 seconds or so. SANDBOX have been in worse positions. They're normally finding themselves 5 versus 3, 5 versus 2 at this kind of point. There's a good chance they can hold on here. MB being challenged here on the reading door, has to back away, gets himself snagged out by Solotov on the return shot. Now it's Shild, the last man inside of sight, droned out. The pressure from MNM is starting to build as Static finds one more. He swings to the door, but Static again on the flank is going huge from above, finds himself a third, and this could be the shutout that SANDBOX are looking for.
The big problem here for MNM is they've never dealt with top floor, Des. They've never got Static shut down. That's where he's played from the whole time. Nello now goes up there.
No.
I mean, it's a nice shot, but it's not the one he wanted. He's going to hit his own man Users and just take him down. It leaves him now 1v3. Quite a few mistakes creeping in for MNM there on that round. As SANDBOX close it out, the big one for me was that rotation away from top floor. It's sort of, MNM got to a point where it was like, we're not going to get top floor, let's just dip away from it and try and go direct to site, but they didn't account for what's going to happen if you try and do that. Static's going to find a 3K from top floor.
Yep. It does put some pressure on MNM here as well. They're looking for the 4-2 half, right? They've won bar cocktail, they've run reading and dining. They've lost it just, reading and fireplace, sorry. They've just lost it there a second ago. So now you're looking to kind of recoup a loss, get back a win on the kitchen site. Last time round, they were ridiculously slow. And I did mention last time round, for those who are wondering, I said, you know, 1 minute 30 is the sort of benchmark for when you want to start swinging hammers on the train, the fireplace floor, and start looking downstairs. MNM started that process at the 60-second mark, and you saw how much they were panicking on the fireplace drop to try and go for a plant. And I've sort of benchmarked this over the space of a year, where the best teams generally, 1 minute and 45, 1 minute and 50. SANDBOX are one of them over in APAC North that are very good at getting that moving fast. One of the slower ones were before they exited the scene was Norengo. They would consistently find themselves with 60 seconds to go and be panicking in the dying moments of a round. So about that 130 mark seems to be the ideal. It's where most teams tend to sit. It leaves you just enough time to think about your execute to get yourself set up. So I want to see MNM be a little bit quicker here. Top floor and second floor control needs to be done inside 90 seconds.
Exactly that. They need to, and we've just seen them struggle to get top floor control. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what MNM do differently here. They've been very strong in the beginning of rounds so far. We've spoken about their information game, the way they've been locating players and shutting them down, but not really able to replicate that in the last round. SANDBOX maybe just finding that sort of bit of magic that they needed, that change to the formula that's going to help them get a couple of rounds here. As we said all along, expect them to have a good performance here on Kafe, expect them to potentially push MNM to that third map, but for now we can't get too excited from SANDBOX. It's one good round, but they need to continue it.
They do indeed. You can see the bakery hold, prep hold, the electrification, everything coming in here out towards the west side. So SANDBOX really staking a claim on saying, yeah, you might try and come in from this side of the map. They wouldn't be far off wrong. There are two of them currently stationed out towards the west, one slightly out north outside of Small Bake as well. So rather than a full top-down clear, MNM are trying to go horizontal, and SANDBOX have read into that perfectly.
Shayo just hiding in behind the bakery counter, and a little treat comes his way. He manages to evade the nade though, as MNM just managed to
evade the nade. I like that.
There you go, you can keep that one. Invitational, however, will find a kill onto Nello, despite the good work that's been done on the bottom floor by MNM to get access into bakery. They haven't really taken over that ground yet. They haven't staked their claim fully, and Tyrant is just well aware that there's a man on the backside. I don't think he knows that he's in VIP though, Des. He's going to get himself flanked, but no, he's going to get himself killed by Harper before that happens, who pops out from the kitchen and manages to shut the man down.
It's unfortunate because now MNM are starting to bleed numbers. A 3 versus 5 with 90 seconds to play. They've got the timing right, but not quite got the numbers remaining to make it successful. There's two dancing around prep here, and Solotov's going to find himself going down to a Nova shotgun blast. A 2 versus 5, and it does feel like this half is going to end at 3-3. So a good recovery coming out from SANDBOX overall. Now down to a 1 versus 4 as Envy trades out his man. Yuzu's falling down to the deck, and Neo on the Zofia left all alone to do this.
It really feels like SANDBOX have woken up in the last couple of rounds here on Kafe, and all of a sudden they are really here to play. MNM, I think, are going to have a more difficult time of this as this map continues, especially when they move on to the defence. They're going to come under a lot of pressure. It's a great pre-fire onto Static there, just coming out of court check, but there's a lot more work for Neo to do. He's got 3 more kills to find. He does have time on his side, 38 seconds left to go. It's not an immediate desperate rush just yet, but SANDBOX are playing this smart. They're just keeping themselves away. That's not going to help Neo at all, really. It tells him that the man is there, but it's going to hinder his ability to be able to make the challenge. Opens up the floor, but the Malusia's pushed down. Neo manages to find Envy. 1v2, and this is where it starts getting tense. He knows he's...
No way!
It's 1v1. He's got 3 out of 4. He's got 12 seconds left to go. He's on the LMG reload. He's going to close it. It's terrifying in this late situation. He just has to push and take Shayo somehow finds him through the soft wall, but the opportunity was really there at the fingertips of Neo for the 1v4 clutch, and it slips away at the last second.
They were either some phenomenal dead man drones, or it's brilliant intuition coming out of him. If he'd have swung that one back and given MNM a 4-2 half, it would have been unbelievable. We just had Charlotte in all chat saying, wow, it did almost come down to a 1 versus 4 being won. Beautiful play. Just expected the man to be on the deck, but just couldn't quite clinch out that last gunfight. The Aruni Gate doing a little bit of helping hand there as well, leaving him on just sub 30 HP coming into the final gunfight. Reading and Fireplay is going to be where MNM start out their defensive side. Looking pretty tanked up. You got the Mute, you got the Goyo, you got the Maestro coming into play, and we saw the Maestro band away a couple of times yesterday, Tim.
We did. We saw a couple of our games. I think a couple of our maps, rather, in both games. We saw the Maestro band out. Seems to have come back to a little bit of prevalence. I mean, the Auda's always been super powerful. We know that. You hold mouse 1 and see what happens. You know, but the cams obviously took the nerf. I won't say recently anymore because it was a little while ago. Now the glass can be smashed on them. You know, they're a lot easier to sort of deal with, to clear out. You know, they open up easier. The Twitch drone can deal with them. So it's just, you know, is not as strong as he once was, but still very useful.
This is really interesting because SANDBOX don't often bring the sledge. They do bring it sometimes, but in the vast majority of their attacking rounds, they bring a buck. That's what Invitational will settle on, whereas here, they're doubling down on the nade damage. In most of their lineups, they'll only have 4. They're bringing extra here, arguably because the Flores has been banned away, and they said, okay, if we haven't got the destructive capability for utility that a Flores would bring, we need more frags in back pocket. And the sledge is going to give them those vertical angles to go tossing those nades through to hopefully catch things out. Another really interesting observation is Static is normally the go-to Iana player. He is the entry for this team, but when Finka is an option and it's more viable for them, apparently he's the man that steps across to playing it, with Harper being given the backup duties of playing on the Iana. So, lots of nades, lots of aggression coming out from this lineup. 3 big fragging operators for Static, Charles and Harper. This could be a pretty hard-hitting team when they get down to gunfights.
Certainly could be. They're going to get into the top floor to begin with. It is in a reading room site that they're attacking onto, so MNM swerving that bar as being the top floor sort of site of choice, Des. Do you know how many times the defenders have won bar today?
None.
None out of 2, Des. None out of 2. And MNM, they're going to decide to play that later in their rotation. Static goes in aggressively on the Finker here. I like this. Bit of information ahead of him as the Gemini drone just drops in front of him. Just going to feed that information in. Moving confidently through Pixel here. He knows there's nobody playing inside of there, but he's just going to be held up by the laser gate for the time being.
Interesting fact for you as well, SANDBOX's win rate on attack on this map, 62%. They're pretty good at attacking Kafe, so if things carry on the way they have done for them historically, they could actually walk away the winners here, and we would get that Chalet Dream that we've been asking for, Tim. For now, at least 90 seconds in, they have been held up on this top floor by the ADS, the laser gates, the shields, you name it. Everything is hindering them. Solotov is starting to feel the burn, mind you, as flashes come singing his way. They've got 2 playing on the east rappel and 2 looking to push on the south side of Lumber. Surely he dies, he'll find 1, but then finds himself picked off by Static immediately after. A pre-fire around the corner, and they've got themselves 2. It's going to be a 3 versus 3. Not a bad start from MNM. They burn through a bunch of nades, they get through a lot of utility, and they get through 2 members whilst eating up 2 minutes of time.
Certainly not terrible, but SANDBOX do now have that top floor control, but importantly, the sledge is dead. Des. That's not an easy one to do.
Hopefully never have to say dead Des ever again.
Hopefully not. You know, that's really limiting their ability for that soft breach to open up the floor and use the vertical that they've just given 2 lives to take. So they're now likely going to have to just sort of push horizontally into sight.
This is a very late rotate from Charles as well. You know, you're down to almost the last 30 seconds and you're rotating all the way over to push them below. He's going to have to full sprint this. We've seen on default cam, so much so that he's in a rush that he's ignoring the default cam that was in Bakery.
Going for a personal best here.
He is indeed, yeah. Most steps covered. The man's got some fitness rewards to claim at the end of the day. Here he comes pushing his way inside a train, mind you, looking now to challenge the man who's in here. Must know. May have heard him stepping across, but this is again all time being wasted. And Tyrant, he's waiting and lurking. Uses gets the shutdown onto Nova. Static will get one back, and sure enough, Shile wins it out. Nello's in a 1 versus 2. Can he clutch out big here? They're going to have to charge in for the plant, and Nello's in the wrong site. He's looking in the wrong place, my man. They're in the other one. Sees all the pings coming in. Can he get the spray? Straight through the smoke and gets the closeout. They win by the clock.
I'm going to say something here about Nello that I've said countless times.
Have you really? Go on then.
And that is that nobody knows the sites in this game as well as Nello does from being inside of them. And he's just proven that there. It took him, what, 4 bullets to hit that man and take him off the diffuser? Like, Nello is just, for me, probably one of, if not the best site-based player that we've had inside on the defence. He's absolutely unreal. His knowledge of every location and angle inside of those sites is just phenomenal, and it's because he never leaves them. He just never leaves them.
The critical man inside me wants to say, well, he was red ping, so he knew where to shoot, but he did rotate away from the doorway and off towards the soft wall on the right-hand side to get that angle down. That's the knowledge prover. Not going to lose any bullets to chairs, tables, whatever. Straight into the body of the planter and gets them the round win. So far, SANDBOX are seeing the same difficulties that MNM had around the clock. I know it's only been 1 round, but they're seeing that clock come back to bite them. A 30 seconds full sprint outside the map from Charlotte, something I definitely wasn't expecting to see, but we saw it nonetheless. We're going to head down into basement, so clearly, Tim, Omer has been listening and taking some notes behind the scene and saying, oh, this Tim lad, he knows what he's talking about. Bar Cocktail sucks. We're not going to play it.
It's almost as if he's watched thousands of hours of this game.
He's probably watching us right now. Hi, Steph. How's it going?
He's almost as if he's watched an awful lot of this game and he's seen people repeatedly lose the top floor on Kafe.
Weird, that.
It is weird. So we, as you say, are going to be heading down to Kitchen this time around. It's round 8. MNM managed to get themselves a slight advantage on the scoreboard. 4-3 now. They find themselves on their second defence. It was a close run, I think we have to say that. It was a successful 1v2 for Nello at the end there, as you say, just using the angles and the soft walls to enable himself to be able to get that one even through the smoke. But Tyrant here, he's poised, Des. He wants to go out of this window. He's certainly keen. He's itching to try and get himself a nice entry kill. I mean, on the entries, it's been a little bit more even this time. Still not terribly though. I think it's 5-2 in MNM.
I mean, make it 6-2. Yes. He's straight out onto Shile there. I thought for a second, he won't find anyone. You're only seeing a drone there. They're prepped for it. It's not a problem. But he makes it work. Shuts down the Twitch. Takes away those 3 drones. The default one plus the 2 shock drones. Really, really good value add for the team, because also some of those smokes have been removed. So there are still some available for Static playing on that gridlock. It's interesting, by the way, they ban away the Nomad and then bring along that gridlock. They still clearly want the flank watch. They just ride on teams not wanting to play it, whereas they're very happy to play it themselves. It's another LMG, because why would you say no, right?
Exactly that. They're going to drop down. They've got control of the mid-floor.
Never mind, he's not playing
well ahead of time. Well ahead of time. Invitational's going to be able to start opening up those verticals almost 10 seconds faster than your favoured markup of 1 minute 30 days. The vertical pressure will start to be applied. Just looking for the angles inside a Kitchen, but they're not really going to find anybody, because at the minute MNM are largely playing out towards the bakery side of things. They've just moved underneath a little bit. We've had Nello rotate back onto that side, and they've shifted up towards sort of north of Freezer.
I just noticed why they're doing this, by the way. When they put the Etskaros to the side of it, some might go out so they can roll a nade through. No, they put it on the spot on the ceiling where it electrifies both walls downstairs and the hatch at the same time. So the Etskaros go off and they remove it, then you can get the hatch opened up too. Either way, MNM now find themselves with the 2 opening kills in this round. Charles and Envy are both gone. The sledge has been removed. Yes, he was swinging that hammer for a good 30 seconds, 40 seconds or so, but him being off the board is not going to be too nice, because he's now lost both of those frags as well. They've got 2 still with Harper, but there's work to do for SANDBOX. They're at the final 40 seconds or so, and MNM still feel in control of this game.
It's really difficult for them now, because the 3v5, MNM are locked into site. They're happy to pretty much sit there. You've got one playing inside of VIP who just makes a nightmare of himself and gets a kill onto Nova, and it's all falling apart for SANDBOX. And once again, Des, it's that Tyrant and Solotov combo that are just running round, jumping out, taking peeks, and just not letting SANDBOX sit for a second. Tyrant takes some damage, but Solotov's got him covered. If it's not one name, it's the other. MNM close out the round. It's 5-3 now, and they are cruising towards a potential 3 points.
Solotov and Marshmallows, mate, I said it earlier on. They are definitely careering towards a 2-0 here, now at 5-3, with a couple more defensive rounds still to play. They're going up to that site. This is the real test in Tim's book. If you want to win his heart, you need to win on bar and cocktail. That's where they're going to step into next. We're seeing a mirror being brought along. Tim, you know exactly where my focus is going to go. What walls are being reinforced? Who's playing Pixel and Bathroom? And where are those mirror windows going? Oh, okay.
Anyway, Des, as we're going to have Neo just change out on the 6th pick there. He's going to bring along the Clash. We've got no Zofia on the board to deal with it. We've got a few nades. We've got Finka and Diana that will be both bringing nades along. So this should be the utility necessary to be able to clear this Clash out. But it does then potentially limit where those nades can go.
I did mention the Buck earlier on as well, so the whole idea of bringing him, I did say SANDBOX love playing this, Envy in particular. What he wants to do is get underneath Cocktail here and open the whole thing up.
I absolutely love that strategy.
It essentially just means you can't play someone in what was called, I want to say it's Maestro spot, but something also says to me Nello spot, because I know he played there a lot back when he used to play it too. That's at the top side of Cocktail. You'll sit behind there, it's pretty safe, unless you get naded from below, you're not being removed, or unless a Buck comes below and opens up the entire floor of Cocktail, then no one can play in there at all. So keep a close eye out for that one. But to me, this Clash could be a difference maker. It's the mobile mirror window. It's not fixed to a wall. We already saw how the side of SANDBOX ran time down against MNM back on Oregon with this pick. Let's see how MNM can do with it as well.
It is a really interesting way of dealing with the east side hold, because we know that tends to be the sort of final, the last bastion of defenders is over in Cocktail on that east side. You push them all the way across there. So, like you say, going in with the Buck and just opening up the floor completely prevents them from sitting in those positions. Envy Taylor looks like he's heading towards reading here. He's dropped away. He's going to maybe work from the top floor floor instead. I was hoping to see him inside a reading, Des. I'm not sure that we're going to do now.
No. Worth mentioning up on that upstairs, I'm always watching the washroom area because it's such a pivotal location. They've got the Aruni gate on the south side in case there were nades to come in. Because what we saw yesterday when these guys played, when SANDBOX played against NIP, was Invitational would start on the south side. He'd chuck nades in towards White, in towards the washroom, then go up onto the roof, open up the 2 hatches on the top floor so the team could start their attack. He was like Spider-Man all over the building, constantly keeping himself busy, but because he's playing on the Buck, it's going to be a different story. They've also got the Clash to provide support in White Corridor, so they're really playing on storage and washroom being 2 key locations for them.
SANDBOX not really moving too quickly at this point. Solotov's going to take some damage all the way down in basement. Where have we seen this before, Des? Just absolutely free around the map to move as he pleases, wasting so much time. He knows he's going to be challenged. He's going to get the kill. Yes! Ooh. Great roam from Solotov there as he shuts down Static. He looks to find himself a second. He knows he's still being challenged. It was an attempt at a pinch. He could probably get himself away here if he wants to, but he's just conscious of a second!
What?
He gets the headshot onto Harper, and he has no right, Des, no right getting both of those kills.
That's the kind of stuff that ends a round, and I feel like we've said this now at least 10 times across 2 maps. MNM are in a 5 versus 3. This time exclusively off the back of Solotov. He had no help down there. He was droned out, he was being pinched from 2 angles, but his movement turned it into 2 separate 1v1s that he came out on top of. They've got smoke canisters, they've got a clash, they've still got C4s, they've got so much still to play behind, and SANDBOX have only got 45 seconds left.
This could well be the first time a lot of people are seeing MNM play, and they're starting to see why so many people are excited about this team.
I haven't even thought about what Demo's like backstage right now.
Uncontrollable.
I heard him cheering for Na'Vi early on. We were like, is Demo casting? He was in the talent room, but it sounded like he was casting. He'll be ecstatic about this performance so far, and hopefully MNM feel the same. But let's not count SANDBOX out just yet. There are still things they can do, but a 3 versus 5 is a hard fight back. Solotov getting into another fight, this time put slightly lower. It's Shyle taking some chip damage, but they're out of time, Tim. They've got to push in now. He finds one. He can't get round the clash, unfortunately. In comes one on the north. He goes down 2. 2 on the deck. It's going to be a round out for this one. Invitational left alone, killed from Piano. Match and series point for MNM.
They've got themselves onto the very edge of victory here on a map that we really thought SANDBOX were going to come out and dominate, in all honesty. I really did think that this was going to be going all the way to 3, but for some reason, somehow, SANDBOX just haven't really shown up here on Kafe, and honestly, Des, I think it's down to MNM's homework. As I say, they just seem to know what to expect out of SANDBOX. They just seem to be able to be that step ahead of them, and let's be honest, there's something that's happened in that last round that you just can't account for. Solotov, bottom floor. He's pinched. He has one either side. He's being droned. Does Solotov get killed? No. Does he kill both of them? Yeah. Absolutely. Des, we said it on Oregon. I'm going to say it again here. He isn't stuck in there with them. They're stuck in there with him.
Ain't they just? So much so that there's a bit of panic settling into the SANDBOX side. Jackal is being brought along because they are sick and tired of being tormented by these roamers coming out from MNM. It's been several. Solotov has been one of the main culprits throughout, but we've also seen Tyrant getting busy on the odd occasion as well. A bit quiet this map, all the focus turning back in towards Solotov and Yuzus. But as we always say, it's a team game. You know, Nello has been quiet because he hasn't had to be involved because MNM have won the vast majority of these rounds. And one of those 2 kills for Nello, it was a round winner. He's done his job, even though the scoreline says 2-4-1 with 2 plants next to it as well. It's looking peachy. In we go then towards Reading and Fireplace. SANDBOX need 3 rounds back-to-back to keep themselves in this series. Otherwise, it's a 2-0 for MNM.
Into the action phase we go. Neo, he's looking to get aggressive with the Alder. Yuzus loses his life immediately to Nova. MNM need to keep it calm, Des. They don't want to get ahead of themselves and start getting aggressive because they've got a few rounds ahead. Because SANDBOX are a team that will punish you, and that is exactly what's happened. Yuzus, Solotov, they are done and dusted inside of the first 30 seconds.
I want to say someone ran out the front door then, and that's why they're dead. It was a smart play from MNM with Neo punching the window above to draw attention there. That someone then runs out the bottom window and kills you. No doubt it was a countdown. It just was a bit too clever of a read coming in from SANDBOX. A very smart play on their side to shut down the initial aggression out of MNM, and now the tables have turned. It's a 5 versus 3 for SANDBOX, and they've got a ton of time still to play with, Tim. There is no reason to lose this round. You can take it slow, you can drone things out, you can push as a team and play for trades. That's what I really want to see.
They're going to have to at this point. They were trying to lock down that 4th choice site and move things over to mining, but sometimes it can be good. You get a few points ahead, maybe just take the opportunity to go to that less chosen site and give it a full test drive against a properly competitive Tier 1 team, but it's not panning out for them so far. Tyrant working across the top floor, but with the way MNM are playing, you just wouldn't put it past them to turn this one back around, as you said, Des, to find those couple of picks. He's going to be droned out, and it's time for Tyrant, I think, to do a disappearing act.
And he is the master of disappearing acts. A couple of these members have been running circles around SANDBOX across both maps. Nello playing on the pulse can of course feed a lot of information back and forth, but Neo gets shut down. Static with a great angle from the outside pulls the juice. Some extra HP for the rest of the team on their push forwards. They've got 70 seconds to play. 5 versus 2. I'll say it again, Tim. Surely they don't lose this one.
I wouldn't have expected so from here. Nello taking damage as well, and SANDBOX showing that they are still alive inside of this one. If they can close this round out, it brings them within 2, and they keep themselves fighting. The problem for them is there's no more mistakes. Nova, he's not making a mistake as he gets in and starts putting that diffuser down. Nello finds one. Can he find a second? No. Shut down from the window. The cover is in place, and Nova's going to give it another try. Tyrant did manage to get one in the mix there. Can't find the man on the window. Does find the drop. 1v2. Surely he can't do this, Des. The diffuser's down. He's looking to find his first. He needs to try and break these down into 2 1v1s. He's super low health. He's just quick peeking it. He's trying to find anything he can. He knows that the man is going left and right. It's ring around the roses here as they just can't find each other. Nova it is who will get the first peak, shut down Tyrant, and that's going to be SANDBOX keeping themselves fighting, keeping themselves alive here at the 6th Invitational.
You know, that was just like, he's not here. He's not here. Where is he? He's like, oh, there he is. It took a little bit of 3 or 4, 5, maybe 6 peaks there between either side before they found each other out. It is a small breath of life for SANDBOX. It did come down to those 2 entry kills coming in onto some very aggressive players out of MNM. I won't be surprised if this round the call is right, boys. No more mucking about. Stay in the building. Let's not go too crazy. Let's get this closed out now, because they'll be lamenting that round. If this goes to overtime and SANDBOX win and we go to Chalet, not only are you handing away at least 1 point, you're also potentially losing the series once we get onto that map.
There's nothing wrong with taking a peek. There's nothing wrong with having that little bit of aggression. MNM playing with confidence, playing with fun, and that's something that's really important for teams here, not just within the game, but within the tournament. You know, the teams that we always seem to do well are the ones that quite often are having fun whilst they do it and keeping that mental up. That's, you know, when you're in those difficult situations later down the line, which will come for MNM when they're behind and they have to try and fight back for a result, having that positive attitude is great, and letting that confidence be a part of your gameplay is fantastic. But like you say, Des, you need to know when to put the brakes on. Right, we've had our 1 round, that's it. We tried a couple, you know, yeah, we might have got away with it. We didn't. You're not going to get away with it against SANDBOX, I'll be honest with you. This is the team that doesn't generally get peaked. It doesn't generally suffer to those sorts of plays. So SANDBOX, they're just waking them up. We're still here, don't you worry. And if you give us an opportunity, we're going to find rounds.
If the teams in their group, it's worth noting for those who are curious, Team Empire, Sonics and NIP. All teams that haven't seen this performance today, I'm starting to think they could bring down some of the big boys. NIP could fall to them. Empire, not looking the strongest yesterday. Sonics equally having a bit of a throw, I think it's fair to say. They were 6-3 up on Oregon, losing it and then losing the next map as well. That's what I was talking about when I said in the last round, you know, it's all good having some fun. Let's not see this one thrown away, because Sonics, they suffered the same fate yesterday of being at match and series point for a 2-0 and then went on to lose the series. Let's not have the same thing happen here.
I really don't want to see it, as I said to you coming into the tournament, that I'm desperate. You know, I know we have all the sort of fun of the inter-region rivalry, but genuinely, I'm really looking for a strong NA performance here at Invitational. Obviously, we had a good performance out of OXG. We've got TSM today. It's going to be interesting to see them.
Yeah.
SSG beating FaZe, and I'm desperate to see NA show up. You know, jokes aside, I really want to see them get back to, you know, the top of Siege and to be competing as they should be, and I'm hoping that we see some more of that this afternoon.
Everyone wants a balanced competition ultimately where all 4 regions are present, and now APAC is in.
Of it as well.
Now APAC's here to play in 2022. Absolutely, let's see more and more of it. Let's touch on this round though. We're about 75% 25 seconds in, and we haven't seen any exchanges between the two teams yet. It's been all about that map control, and once again, like clockwork, the 1 minute 40 mark hits. They're getting this floor opened up, so good pace being shown by the side of SANDBOX. They've done that homework, they've done their drone work, and now looking for those vertical angles. C4 comes out, doesn't connect onto anyone, and they'll start trying to clear away these the electrical that's downstairs. Again, they might even kill it with those two on either side. If not, the small amount of damage you get should do enough to blow it off. There we go, it's gone. And now they can get the actual main 4 X-Kairos down onto the hatch and opened up. Before, what you used to have to do, nice C4 coming out, you'd have to open the floor up and roll a grenade through to kill the Electro Claw, but teams have kind of cottoned onto this, hey, Hibana can just to get rid of it by getting open the floor. Now she can use 2, 4, or 6 pellets rather than 6 every single time. It makes a lot of sense to do it that way.
SANDBOX starting to fall into the same problem that they had last time, Des. When they attacked onto Kitchen, they were just sort of losing men along the way. It was 5v4 when they started to open up. It was 5v3 before they pushed onto site, and they just didn't have the manpower to be able to break MNM down, who at that point were able to just hold angles, and that's exactly what we're likely to see this MNM team continue to do now. They're not going to get overly aggressive. Users has got himself a nice little peek in through the bookcase there, just for anybody who tries to push into Bakery, and SANDBOX just seem to have taken a real pause here, Des, but there's only 30 seconds left to go. There's the call, in they come, and it falls apart as Solotov finds 2. Users doesn't even have to pull the trigger. Solotov for 3, Solotov for 4, and MNM for their first victory and 3 points here at 6 Invitational 22.
What a statement for the EU qualified team as well. They came in through the open quals, beat down 3 EUL teams, and have come in and won their first international game.